Hi, my name is Leah K-12 Education Coordinator for Dubuque County 4-H. Today we are going to do a fun activity called the Density Rainbow on liquids. But before we begin our experiment, I want to discuss about the word density. Density is a big word. What does this word mean? Everything is made up of tiny molecules. Some things are made up of more molecules, some are less. So I have these two containers in front of me. These containers are the same size. However, in this container, I have about 6 jelly beans, and this one maybe 25 jelly beans. But one definitely weighs more than the other. What do you think weighs more than the other? The one with 6 or the one with 25 jelly beans? You're right. The one with 25 has more weight. Therefore, it has more density. When we think about liquids, liquids have molecules too, some more, some less. In today's experiment, we are going to layer all these liquids together to figure out which liquids are more dense than others. So to begin, we are going to measure out corn syrup as our first liquid. So we're going to go ahead and take our liquid measuring cups and pour it in. We will measure out a 1/2 cup of liquid. And to start our liquid density rainbow, we're going to start with the color red. So I have red food coloring, add a few drops, and then with a spoon, we'll go ahead and stir it. Once you have it all mixed, then we can start adding our liquids into the jar. Go ahead and pour it directly in the center. And you can use a spatula like I am here to make sure you clean out your liquid measuring cups for more liquids. Okay. So in our jar right now, we have the corn syrup added. Our second liquid that we are going to add is liquid dish soap. And mine happens to be green, but you can use blue if that's what you have at home. Again, we are going to go ahead and measure out a 1/2 cup. Okay. And when we are adding it into our jar, we need to be make sure we are careful not to just drop it in. We need to do it slow and carefully so it does not mix. We want to make sure that we are keeping and creating these layers. Okay. Once you have that all added, you can see that our layers are starting to form. For our third liquid, we are going to be using water. And instead of just using clear water, we're going to add a color. And I think since we're staying in this rainbow thing, we'll go ahead and add blue to it. Just a drop of blue to our mixture. Go ahead and give it a stir with one of your spoons. And again, we are going to add it slowly to the side of our jar. Carefully add it so it doesn't get mixed. And now you are able to see these colorful layers. Okay, so the third layer has been added. Great. Our fourth layer that we're going to add is some vegetable oil. Any oil can work. If you have olive oil at home, you can substitute that instead. For this one, again, we are going to be adding a half cup of liquid. And we are not going to add food coloring to this one. We're just going to keep the nice color of the yellowness of the vegetable oil. And once again, adding it down the side, making sure that we are not mixing it. Do it slowly so it doesn't drop in quickly and mix. There. That's our fourth layer of liquid. We have one more layer to add, and I have rubbing alcohol. So we'll go ahead and measure out again in our liquid measuring cup. 1/2 cup. And for our last layer, we're going to go back to red. Red has a nice color to it. And mix it. And for the last layer, again, make sure we're continuously being careful and add it to the side. If you do happen to make a mess while you are pouring it, make sure that you have a towel or paper towels on hand or off to the side so you can quickly clean up your messes. Okay, there's the last layer. So as you can see, we have lots of different layers we have created. I'll let you guys get a close-up look of our liquid rainbow layers. So as you can see, our corn syrup is staying at the bottom. Our water is in the middle still. And our very last one that we added was our rubbing alcohol, and that is staying at the top. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that the layers are staying separated? Why do we think that? Could it be because one weighs more than the other? One has more density, that is more dense than the other? You're right. The ones that are at the bottom are more dense than the ones that are at the top. And that's why they are staying separated. Can you think of some other things that you could add into this experiment that you have at home? So for example, if you did not have rubbing alcohol, what's something that you could substitute? You could try honey. Do you think honey would be at the top, or do you think honey would be at the bottom? What are some examples that you might see around in the house, or if you open up your refrigerator? I opened up my refrigerator and saw my homemade salad dressing that I just recently made. So if you look real close, you can see it separated. I have the apple cider vinegar at the bottom, and at the top is the oils that have separated out. And they've separated because one is more dense than the other. What's another example that you can think of? Maybe like an oil spill in the ocean. What happens to the oil when that happens? Or the bigger question is, what do you think is going to happen if I stir this jar? Should we check it out? All right, ready? Let's do it together. Do you think it will mix together, or do you think it's going to separate? One more time. So we stirred it one more time. And as you can see, that our layers are still there. It looks like our rubbing alcohol has mixed in with the water, and our oil has floated to the top, but our corn syrup is still at the bottom. You can try this experiment at home too, and see what other experiments that you can do. I have also included on this, you can go ahead and see the experiment yourself and do it at home for all the examples that I have used. And like I said, continue to explore with other liquids and figure out what liquids are more dense than others.